Great. Welcome, everybody. So since last week we left off, well, let me go through just, the housekeeping. Just if it's 90 minutes, it'll go quick like it has every week. If you need to self-break, go ahead and do so. If you have not signed up for my email newsletter and you want to, put your email in the chat for me and I will sign you up from there. And let's see what else. Keep your microphone off unless you're speaking. Love to see your pretty face, so keep your camera on. We're not going to have, hello, Tiffany, welcome. We are not going to have our office hours this week. It is Veterans Day, so we are canceling that for this week. And then we'll see how class is next Tuesday and discuss whether you want to have it next Thursday for the little office hours. It doesn't seem like Thursday is super great for everybody, but if everybody wants it, we'll do it. Okay. So last class, we left off with you coming up with we talked about the first law of motion. And what that said was that a body at rest stays at rest, a body in motion stays in motion, unless acted upon by an outside force. And so we related that to our businesses. And so when we're not doing much, not much comes in, not much happens. And so when we start moving forward, we gain momentum. When we're promoting our business on a regular basis, we gain momentum, we hit a happy place where we're doing just enough that we can handle and just enough businesses coming in repeatedly, and we're able to stay on top of that. Now, what often happens is our momentum may get ahead of us. And so we're doing a lot and maybe a ton of business is coming in, or maybe we're doing a lot and not a lot of business is coming in. So we need to adjust somehow. And so you might have forward momentum, you might have backwards momentum, or you might just be spinning in place. You're just like doing a lot of stuff and it's not oriented correctly. So you're just spinning your wheels. You're a hamster on a wheel, just going. So last week we talked about what are the 5 tactics that are most important to you. And everybody wrote those down. And then they wrote down one thing that they were going to do since last week. So I don't know if you've had a chance to do what you said you'd do from last week. And I think we had some ahas too, and we compared to how we actually got our top 5 businesses or top 10 businesses, and then looked at how we got to know them. Some of us didn't have those same things in our top 5 tactics. So we're sort of back to the drawing board. And that is attributed to making sure that you're evaluating, making sure that you are asking, how did they hear about you? What's working for you? And then adjusting your promotions accordingly. So Liz, why don't I have you start? And why don't you go ahead and tell us your business for people who weren't here last time. And then if you can share the tactic that you worked on.
So my name's Liz. I own Flatline Gallery up in North Long Beach. And at the gallery, I have a different exhibition every month. And I also sell on consignment different goods, handmade goods or artwork, prints, things like that from local artists and makers. And since last week, we talked about what our top clients or who are our top clients
and your top tactic. Yeah, we talked about your top clients and how did they come to you? What sort of promotion was working for you? And then what was the one tactic you were going to focus on this week?
Yeah, with mine was marketing. I mean, not marketing, networking. Okay. And so I realized that most of the people that I see coming in most at the gallery are people that I've met at other art shows or other art related events. And I meet them, I talk to them and I tell them what I do. And so they're like, oh, that sounds cool. I'm going to go check it out. And so that's how I've gotten people to come and visit the gallery. And so there was a few art openings this past weekend and I made an effort to do my rounds and go, gallery hop and go to different events and support different friends and artists. And so I focused my energy on that this week.
Very good. Very good. And did you feel like you were making good connections with people?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think people really appreciate when you support them. So then they come back and then they support me as well.
Very good. Very good. Tiffany, hello. Welcome.
Hello, how are you?
Good. We have a few other people coming, but if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and telling us your business and what you do for your business.
Sure. My name is Tiffany Yelverton, and I am the founder and CEO of Entice Me and Sexy Survivors. And I disarm conversations about sexual shame and teach women to have more pleasure in their life so that we can adjust the power balance in the world.
Very nicely said.
And I wasn't here last week, but most of my clients are repeat customers. I would say that they're buying right now. That's the biggest source, is that they're just buying new products or new services.
Sure. Yes. And we've talked about in the class. So your two main ways of getting business is going to be repeat and referral. So from those repeats, you might want to ask them to refer a person, bring a friend to something, those kinds of things, and that will help build your business. Okay.
And I always have networked a lot, but since COVID, social media has been a big draw for me.
Good. Good. And what's your favorite platforms to use? What works for you best?
I mostly market myself on Facebook, and then my assistant does on Instagram. So we hit both platforms.
Okay. And can they buy directly from those platforms?
Because of sexual nature products, they cannot. We're not allowed to advertise or do any promotion of even though it's very demure and very clinical, we still can't sell on those platforms. But I do promote my coaching programs and my retreats and things like that.
Oh, okay. And that's what gets the attention on those platforms?
Yes.
Very good. So good. You have a good call to action and people are reacting to that, and you have a channel for them to get to you. So that's good. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and if you two don't mind renaming yourself so that when people come in, they know what your business is. That would be great. If you put your cursor over your photo, you get the little 3 dots in the blue square. And if you click on that, it opens up a drop-down menu and you go to rename. And then you can type in your name, your company name after your name. Okay. And I trust you all got one of these. Yes. Rearrange my boxes and such here. Okay. If you have any questions while I'm talking, you can surely put it in the chat. I'll keep an eye on that. So today, module 3, we are talking about the second law of motion per Sir Isaac Newton, and then we're going to force it into what we want it to mean for promotion. So the second law of motion is the force acting on an object is equal to the mass of that object times its acceleration. So force equals mass times acceleration. And so don't let that make you dizzy. It's very simple. So how much force we need, how much effort we need is dependent on the size of our business. That's the mass. And then how we accelerate that. And that will be your objective essentially. So the bigger your business is, the more force of effort is needed to move it forward. So think about it's easier to move a basketball than it is to move a car. Very simple. It's physics, right? So if you are a small, nimble business, like we all are, you can adjust much quicker and it's easier to move us forward. There's a lot of tools available to us. The tools we use are the same tools that a big business will use, right? Big businesses also use Facebook and Instagram and network and et cetera. And we can make those decisions very quickly where a large company can't. Okay, so it's the same tools no matter what. It's just the amount of force that it needs. Okay, we'll go into this more in depth. So we did our warm up. Austin, do you have anything to share with us from the DLBA this week?
No, not this week.
Okay.
I will have something for next week, so hold tight.
Okay, thank you. And then we talked a little bit about the last 2 weeks, a little bit. And now we're going to get into the second law of motion, and then we'll talk about assessing your mass, setting your business objectives, and that will be your homework if you don't finish it today, and then determining the force, how much you need to promote. And then at the end, we'll do a drawing. Tiffany, I'll write your name on a little piece of paper. We've been doing a drawing each week for a 30-minute consultation outside of class with me. So, and you can bring a real problem to me and I'll really try to work it out. It won't be a sales pitch. Okay, let me write your name down now. Yelverton. Okay. And Tiffany, while we're here, how did you hear about the class?
In an email, probably from
From
someone. I don't know who, but
from the DLBA, maybe?
probably DLBA or I don't know, the city maybe.
Okay. Okay, very good. Yeah, there was one from the Business Journal yesterday that it was.
Oh,
in.
that's what it was. It was from the
Okay,
Business
good.
Journal.
From the Monday morning coffee. I love that.
Yes, that was what it was from.
Okay, very good. Okay, so Liz, did you have any questions? Were you able to watch the video from the first module? So we've been picking up speed and there's Cielo, yay.
Yeah, from the first class.
Yes.
Yes, I did watch that.
Okay, great. And then Tiffany, I don't know, you probably didn't have time since yesterday to watch the first and second videos. No. Okay, you can go back and watch those.
And where do I find those?
Austin will give you a link to those.
Okay,
I think they're
perfect.
usually in the reminder. He'll say, thanks for coming to module 3. And here's the video if you want to rewatch it. And here's the last 2 as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. And then when you get the book too, it all mirrors the book. So that'll be an easy refresher, and the handouts just sort of give you similar to what the activities that ask you to do in the book. So it's all good. Cielo, welcome. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. Hi.
Hi.
I'm Cielo Roth. I own Cielo Roth Photography. And let's see, what else are we saying?
Do you want to share the tactic that you're working on since last week?
Oh, I have been
still be working
attempting to write a press release.
Good. Very good.
So still working on that right now.
Okay, great. Very good. Well, I'm glad you made it. Okay, and we just started getting into going over tonight's agenda, so we're perfect. Okay, so it sounds too sciencey, but it's really very simple. So first thing I want you to do is sort of assess how big your mass is. So in this exact worksheet is in the book, and there's a case study in there that spells it all out for you too. It's about a brewery, a home brewery that becomes a business. So assess what size your business is. And that's kind of relative. Here are some cues. So number of employees, you put your little answer in here, the number of locations you have, office space, or if you're virtual. I'd also suggest you add revenue, because you can be a one-stop shop and be dealing with millions of dollars, right? You may be selling something that doesn't need your attention all day long, and you don't need a staff, and you're good. And you might be bigger than you think you are. So take a couple minutes and just do that. And I remember the first time I was looking at, for whatever reason, I was looking it up, and it was the Small Business Administration's definition of a small business. And it was like up to $6 million in revenue annual. Wow, that's a lot bigger than I am. Okay. So it's very relative. And depending on whose definition you look at, small business may be up to 100 employees, it may be up to 500 employees. And I think there's a rubric for how they do it. Most of the people I work with, some of them have maybe 10, 20 employees. But usually I deal a lot with entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, what we call micro businesses. So it's no more than 2 employees, you know, good revenue in the hundreds of thousands, depending if they have employees. But many of them are just making it. There's a very good, well, it's not my favorite book, but it's a good book. It's called E-Myth, and it's the entrepreneur myth. And it was written back in the 90s, I think, maybe earlier. And Michael Berger, I believe, is the name of the author. And one of the key things that comes out of that book that you've probably heard before is working on your business, not in your business. And what he was saying is a lot of people call themselves entrepreneurs and they've gone in for business for themselves, but all they've done is continue to do the same job that they were doing for somebody else. Okay, but really an entrepreneur is sort of distances themselves. You have to spend some time on your business from, you know, the 50,000 foot level. Like, is this working? You need to be objective about it. You know, there's a lot of companies that, you know, they are true entrepreneurs and they look at gaps in, you know, merchandise or technology or whatever. They see where there's a gap, and then they hire a team to come up with a product that fills that gap. Okay, so they stay very objective. It's not what they were doing all their life. They were business majors. They know how to run a business. So you need to make sure that you're injecting some of those kinds of activities into your business planning. Okay, so we're all probably smallish, micro businessy, right? Tiffany, you mentioned you have an assistant. Is your assistant full-time?
I have 2 VAs, virtual assistants, that are
Perfect.
part-time. One of them is pretty full-time, but it just depends on her other work schedules.
Very good. Okay, good. Okay, and then you probably have some goals, and goals are general thinking. I need to make $200,000. I want to retire by 60. You know, they're just sort of, I call them an extension of your vision. Okay. It could be, I want to make people happy. You can have a very inspirational aspiration if you want. Hard to measure, but you can do that. But what are your business goals? Why did you go into business? You want to make a living. You want to retire. You want to feed your kids. You want to pay your rent. So what are some of just your general goals? And when you're writing goals and objectives, keep them in present tense. So I make $1 million. I make $250,000. Okay, I think we have another student on. If you can put your camera on, we'd love it. Love to see you. Thank you. Is that a baby?
Sorry, I just have a couple minutes to observe.
Okay. Okay. Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you. I'll be sure to watch the recording as well.
Sure, you can listen in. I didn't realize you were multitasking. You're good. If you can just listen in, we're fine. Then it'll save you having to rewatch. Okay, so now what I'd like you to do, well, do you want to share it? Do any of you want to share your goals? You don't have to, you can keep them private if you'd like. Okay, I'll take that as you don't want to share. So what I'd like you to do is pick one of those goals, and from that one goal, write 3 objectives. Okay, so we can do this together if you want to. We'll do my made up shoe store. Okay, so here's an example of 3 good objectives. Let's stop that share. Go over to. Okay. So increase new clients by 5%. And these were actually for an insurance company that I wrote a marketing plan for many years ago. Increase new clients by 5%. So I think that was up to 450 clients in calendar year 2022. This was, I changed the year. Increase the number of existing clients who have 4 policies. They got a bundle, right? You know, that's how insurance makes more money. You get more insurance policies, right? And it's easier because your 2 main ways of getting business is repeat and referral. So it's always going to be easier to get more from one person. So if a client has 4 policies, so and they're insuring their car, their home, their boat, and their second vacation home, or their stamp collection, whatever. They have 4 policies, so they can make more money if they're increasing that. So that's one of the ways for them to help increase their revenue goal. Okay, increase the number of existing clients who have 4 policies by 10% in calendar year of 2022. Then a third one, increase the number of existing clients who have 2 policies with the insurance company by 10% in calendar year 2022. Okay, so and they may keep that 10% for each of those different areas every year. Because if you are increasing the number of people who have 4, and people come to you, they buy 1 policy probably. And it probably started when they were 16, 18 years old, you know, or 21 years old. They got pushed off their parents' policy, and now they have to do their own auto insurance. Okay, and so then they forget to change, right? So maybe they need renter's insurance because they have a business. Where'd she go? A business running out of their house with a lot of inventory. So they need some renter's insurance, or they buy a home. So now they have home insurance. They get married, they need life insurance, those kinds of things. So they may keep these same 10% increments year after year after year. Okay. So in that, so they're specific. You've heard the SMART acronym before. So they're specific, they're measurable, they're actionable. So they were all increase, 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 and that's totally fine to use the same verb. They all start with a verb. They're all in present tense. They're realistic. They weren't going to, change. Increasing by 10% isn't that hard, right? Relative, it doesn't seem too hard. If you're doubling everything every year, that's going to be difficult. Okay. And then they're timed. So they have this is the calendar year. And the thing with objectives is it's totally, it's your business. So if it's not working how you think it's going to, you can revise those, right? And you may be doing some things that are just totally clicking. Maybe you say, sign up for your second policy by the end of 2021 and lock in your 2021 renewal rates for 3 years. That might be a big savings for somebody who has a high insurance cost. So if you can do things, so then they're like, gosh, I hit 10% before I even got to 2022. Maybe I'm going to do that again. And maybe I'm going to start again or start earlier, or maybe I'm going to, tweak it some other way. Okay. So you may be really successful. So that objective is your acceleration. So it's what you're going to do by when. Make sense? So we can, are you guys clear on this, or should we do an example together? Let's do an example together. Okay. Okay, and it helps to practice. Okay, so we have an imaginary Main Street merchant. Okay, we'll call it Fake Shoe Company. Let me put this in a big enough type so you can read it. Okay, so so this woman in my scenario, she made $75,000 her first year in her fake shoe store. I don't know what kind of shoes she sells. You guys can come up with that. She wants to double that. She's like, oh, I know I can probably make $150,000. So her goal is earn 150K in 2022. Okay. So take off your silencers on your microphones and shout out ways that she can do that. How could she double her? And that's aggressive. So she's doing, that's 100% increase. So how could she do that? And let's just brainstorm and then we'll make it pretty into some objectives.
Get more customers.
Okay.
Advertisements.
Okay, that's going to be a tactic, but I'm going to put that down here. So what would so when you think about this, and never throw anything out when you're brainstorming, don't throw any of this out, right? So it's very viable. Yes, advertisements will help us do what? So what would the call to action in those advertisements be? Would be more customers?
They could try to sell people more than one pair of shoes.
More than one pair shoes per visit. So it's a units per transaction, right? Okay. What else? And right now she's just brick and mortar.
Oh,
She
so
could-
online.
Yeah,
It's
move online.
Should she open another shoe store?
Probably
Would you-
not.
Would
right?
you?
I don't think
No.
I would.
I don't think I would either. What about a trunk sale?
Wouldn't that be a tactic?
It could be a tactic. Okay, good. Okay, so she needs, okay, and these might all work together, right? Okay, so she wants to double her revenue, and more customers would surely help. If more customers are buying, now, do we want to double customers? If we're doing this 100% increase here, do we need 100% more customers? Or we just need them to buy double the shoes, or a combination?
Probably a combination.
Okay, so how many more customers do you think we need?
Mm.
50% more.
Yeah.
More customers. Okay, good. Into the main, I'll say Main Street store. We'll call it the Pine Avenue store. The Wayne Avenue. Pine Avenue store. Okay. And then more than one pair of shoes per visit. So how many more? What should the units per transaction be? Let's do it that way.
I would say if you could get 1.5 units per transaction, then you're getting like every other customer to buy 2 pairs or more.
T. Okay, good. per customer. Good. Okay, good. And okay, so you guys are probably already thinking, and your next step would actually be strategies, which is not really in the book. We don't really touch on that. It's can be more complicated, but you guys can probably come up with some strategies here. Like, think of what you buy at a shoe store. You know, at the point of sale, what else do you buy?
Socks.
So that would be a strategy,
Okay.
would be other items, right?
Right.
Socks,
Laces.
etc.
Shoe polish.
Yep. Okay. See, so there's going to be easy ways to add your units per transaction. So let's also add, so we need to get to 150,000. So attract 50% more customers into the Pine Avenue store to sell. What's our dollar figure with 50% more customers? Do you think her revenue was 75,000 last year.
Well, we would need to know what her per sale transaction was per guest right now.
Okay, let's use nice round numbers and say that it was $75. So she had 1,000 customers, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So if she needs 50% more customers, so she needs another 500 customers at $75 each. 500. That's $37,500. $100 by end of 2022. Okay. Sell 1.5 unit per transaction on average per customer per visit. Okay. And so we may even, you know, in some ways, this might even be a strategy of this, right? That might be a strategy of this, but, and maybe we want to up the units per transaction. Or maybe one of the strategies could be like a BOGO.
Or
So
instead of a unit per transaction, it could be like a dollar amount, like up it to $125 per transaction.
Okay, so $125 per transaction on average per customer per visit. Right, and we could still, and then the units would still sort of be a strategy. Right, so it could be units, could be more expensive shoes. Right, so she could even get higher priced inventory. But she'll want to make sure that she is making sure that this matches her pricing strategy from the 4 Ps. So one of the strategies is we're increasing products. Well, she might already have these socks, shoelaces, stockings, whatever, hosiery, and then higher priced inventory. So she wants to do some elite brands because they're, you know, can bring her a lot more money. Then that's something that we'd want to look at. So you'd want to go back to your 4 Ps. So, and make sure that that matches. And if it doesn't, then you want to come back to change the strategy. So if you're like, nope, I don't want to do higher price inventory because my audience can't afford that. And I'm not going to, it's going to affect my promotion. My brick and mortar store doesn't look that nice right now. I'm going to have to renovate. I'm going to have to adjust a lot of things to match a higher price strategy. Right. So I might go, no, I can't do that. Maybe I'm going to keep it. Maybe it's going to be $100. But I need to bring in either more customers, or I have more customers and they have to come back more times. Right. So you need to bring back the customers. So, and then repeat customers. Oopsie. Increases. So then you would come up, you know, maybe is that another, I'd have to do the math. So we need another 37.5. So we need these people to come in twice. Increase 50%. Right? To also earn 37,500 by end of 2022. Okay. Okay. So do you see how it works, that you have to massage it and it has to work together, and you need to, and it's easy to brainstorm outside of your parameters of your 4 Ps. And when it's just on paper, you're like, woohoo, I'm going to have a shoe frenzy day. We're going to have this, we're going to have that. And you get carried away with the tactics, which the tactics are the most fun. So you know all sorts of things. But we all buy shoes. We know that, oh gosh, yes, I love these shoes. I'm going to come back. And she gave me a coupon, or she gave me a punch card. My 10th pair of shoes, I get a pair of flip-flops for free, or some hosiery for free. So once you have those objectives, then the tactics almost become just automatic. Just because you live in the world, you know what happens and you know what you like. Do you guys have any questions about these? Okay, so they're specific. They are, so we'd rearrange this. So increase would be up here. Start with your action verbs, so you know right away what you're doing. Increase repeat customers. Sell $100 per transaction on average per customer per visit, by upping your units per transaction. I'm just going to put consider higher price inventory, but that has all sorts of other implications. And it could be a corner of the store that you can only do something fancy in the corner of the store. And maybe it's a special display. Okay, and then sell online. We didn't really get into that so much. So create online sales channel. Okay, and you'd want to flesh this out, right? So you'd want to figure out, am I selling on like an Etsy shop? Or am I creating my own shoe store, freestanding website kind of thing? And now I have to get a cart and I have to do all this kind of stuff. Am I selling only one pair of shoes, on via the internet? Am I going through Amazon and becoming an Amazon vendor? Which can become complicated. So there's other things to decide in that too. And that's what happens when you do your objectives. It starts uncovering other things that help you through the process. And that's why a plan is so important, because it helps you go through that process of what needs to happen now. Okay, so why don't you guys just take a couple minutes and write your own objectives. Dan is still on. Dan, if you can type, tell us what your business is.
Are we just coming up with objectives? We don't have to do
Yeah, we'll do that.
tactics and,
Yeah.
okay.
So
Okay.
are you guys all set? Do you have 3?
I have 3.
Okay, great. Do you want to share them?
Sure.
Okay.
So the goal would be to earn a certain amount per in 2022.
Okay.
Attract more customers. I want 60 per year. Right now I'm averaging about 40.
Okay.
So that's 5 per month. Increase wall art. Oh my God, my cat. Sorry. Increase wall art or printed products so that I can increase sales per customer. So I need to be on, I found out there's an average that I need to be per sale.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Good, very good.
Yeah.
So, and then, so if you want to increase some of those things, then you can go back to that brand strategy guide
Mhm.
that has, you know, how to gimmick it,
Okay.
create some sort of a fun way to promote it.
Mhm.
And then go from there.
Okay.
Very good. And we'll talk about tactics next. So Liz, what did you have going?
So let's see, for objectives, I have get more customers, or I guess art collectors.
Okay.
Increase the artists that I have on consignment, artists, or increase the items that I have on consignment, and increase online sales.
Good. Very good. So flesh those out a little bit more. And I totally appreciate if you don't want to share the specifics, but you know, flesh those out either to a percentage or a dollar amount, and then put a time frame on it too. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let's look at the, we'll go back to our shoe store. Okay. And I quickly put this in a table. So our goal is to double her income. So attract 50% more customers in the Pine Avenue store to sell $37,500 more by end of 2022. Increase repeat customers 50%, also earn 37,500 an additional. So okay, sell 100. Okay, so, and we came up with tactics of advertisements and trunk shows so far. So where should we put those? Should we put advertisements in all of it?
I think so.
Okay. Okay, and then we'll have to figure out what the messaging is here, right?
Okay.
We'll put these in blue. We're not going to flesh those out now, so we'll just do these three. Okay, and then trunk sales, do we want to do that for new customers? Or do we want to do that for our repeat customers? Who do we want to offer trunk sales to?
I think repeat.
Do you agree, Liz? Because it's your project.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of an elite thing, right? Oh, I can get a trunk sale, at my house with all my friends or whatever. Okay, what else? And the trunk sales could help us get $100 per transaction too.
About some kind of referral program.
Okay.
Maybe.
So for repeats,
Yeah,
for repeats, bring in the, okay. Okay. What else? How else would we promote this? What were the 5 tactics you guys wrote down last week?
Oh, that's right. We did write. Press releases.
Press release. Okay. Are we going to attract new customers? I'm going to change
New
this
customers.
To new.
Yeah.
New customers. Okay. And so what would we say in that press release? What's the messaging? The call to action. Because reporters I know aren't just going to write a story about a shoe store.
Right. What's our call to action? Well, a year anniversary, possibly.
Okay. Okay. So maybe a in-store celebration on Small Business Saturday.
Perfect.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay. What else? How else would this shoe store entrepreneur promote her business?
Looking at my notes.
We've talked a lot about one particular thing.
Oh, word of mouth?
Sure, word of mouth works.
Okay. No, what was the other thing?
It starts with social.
Oh, social media. Duh.
I love that it's just off in the past now. But she could do, I mean, shoes are fun, right? She could do some fun pictures.
Right, right. I kind of always think of, I don't know why, but I always associate advertising with social media. I guess they're kind of separate things, but
Oh.
for me, advertising,
Okay.
I connect the two.
Okay.
I know
See,
there's
and
paid advertising and then there's the social media aspect.
Well, and there's print advertisements. And
Right.
there's, there's all sorts of different ways to advertise things,
right.
right? So we'll put print and social here.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay. What else? What else did we find was helpful for all of us? Kind of like word of mouth.
Like when people tag you
Oh, sure.
on social media, tag and follow, or the like follow and win campaigns.
Sure.
Oh, let's see. Not reviews.
Views, good.
We talk about
We'd
that?
probably ask our repeat customers,
Right,
right?
repeat customers, yeah.
Views.
Mhm.
What if I went to a DLBA meeting and wore my cute shoes and told everybody about it? Told all my friends.
Networking,
No.
right? Woohoo!
Networking. Very good. Okay. Okay, and this is probably to up your sales at the cash register is going to be a lot of point of sale kind of
Mhm.
things. Right. Well, and even back to the units per transaction, when I worked at the limited, I was a cashier. And so we were hourly, we weren't paid by commission, but they'd have a sales goal. So everybody would have a sales goal. If you had to hit this certain amount and you had a number that when I rang them up, I rang you up under number 14, number 10, whatever.
Right.
I was measured as a cashier by upping the units per transaction. Because if you recall, Limited used to always have like socks 3 for $10, and they matched every single color pants they had or whatever. And then they had matching earrings and matching scarves and matching necklace. Da, 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 da. So that was my job, was to suggest all of those things. Don't forget to get your socks. They're 3 for $10. They're on sale now. Those kinds of things to up those units per transaction. Okay. So I was judged by, were we up to 3? Because so many people, and you'd cringe, somebody buy a blouse. You're like, buy something else. Buy a pair of earrings. Do you see the pair of earrings that we have that matches that exactly? And it has a matching necklace. I can show you how to fold a scarf. But it all works.
Awesome.
Right? That's suggestive selling. Right.
Nice.
And we get embarrassed because we've created it. And we need to get over that. So banish that from your lives. You need to be proud to sell more and more and more to people. So you're not going to hurt them if they say no to you, but if you don't ask, you're passing up an opportunity for yourself.
Very true.
So by all means, ask. Okay, so now go back to your worksheet and fill in your tactics. And think of those tactics that work well for you. And social media is surely it's an advertisement as well as a PR benefit. So you can think of it in different ways, and try to do a mixture of that advertising and PR and building community. And social media works really well for building community. Like Kat was telling us, how people come in just to see her. Right? She has that big Instagram following. Liz, do you have a fountain running?
Oh, you can hear it?
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's not a fountain. It's my fish tank.
Oh,
I don't have fish in there. I've been messing around with aquascaping. And so
Oh.
because the water evaporated a little bit, you can hear the water hit when it comes out of the filter.
what is aquascaping?
Where it's kind of like a terrarium, but like underwater. So you get
Cool.
like plants and you pretty much like landscape inside the aquarium. But like I'm failing at it miserably. And it's expensive, so I think I'm gonna stop.
It sounds fun.
It sounds really pretty.
Yeah, but I got really into it seeing on Instagram like what other people do, but it's an expensive hobby and I'm trying to save so I can move into a bigger space.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah.
And brainstorm more than you need. Like once you start creating a plan, you have something that you can just change a little bit each year. And then you'll have tactics that sometimes you can use year after year. And then you're establishing sort of an annual rhythm for your sales. Okay. Do you guys want to share some? Did you have any
Sure.
ahas?
I remembered a few things that we talked about earlier.
Okay,
so.
good. That's always good.
To attract more customers, collaborate with business partners. The other one is that I used to do, which was actually semi-successful. So
Okay.
I think I need to do that regularly, which is donate to auctions.
Uh-huh.
So I may be putting that back into place. I'm not sure. Stuff we already talked about, but actually one of the ones for my objectives for increasing wall art, printed products is to show it.
Yes.
Know what you want to sell. And on Instagram, I show a lot of they're just the pictures. I need to show them actually on a canvas or on a metal or frame
Easel or something.
whatever.
Frame. Yeah,
Yes,
sure.
exactly.
Sure.
Printed.
Good. Yes.
Printed. I need to show that, not
Yes.
just show the picture.
Especially now we're headed into gift season.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Very good. Yeah. Liz? You're muted.
All right.
It's okay.
So, I've been thinking about doing pop-up events, more
Okay.
pop-up events, having a setup. I just ordered a tablecloth that has the logo, just to get
Nice.
myself out there. Because most people, once they find out where I'm at, they're like, how long have you been here? And they don't realize how long I've been there because they don't know I'm there. So I think I need to go out and do more like pop-up events, art walks, and looking into also art fairs.
Good.
Just to expand my network outside of what I already have.
Mhm.
So newsletter to existing art collectors. I've been thinking about doing kind of like a preview to exhibitions to
Okay.
existing customers / art collectors. Let me see, print ads in art magazines.
Mhm.
And well, I can't do it now because I don't have the space, but eventually I would like to do art workshops and maybe have like, if you buy 4, you get 1 class free.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. You guys hit on some great things there that lends us into the next part of our conversation. Very good. And Cielo, a lot of auctions is sort of went by the way, or they went virtual. And right. So they're coming back slowly. And now people like the charities have an idea of how to do it online a little bit better. And one of the things during COVID, like all those spring scheduled charity events, they had all of these tickets and stuff they couldn't use. And so they need, it's foolproof. I can always get my, family portrait later. I can get it outside. I can do, there's flexibility there. So that's a really good way to do it. And if you're going to buy if you get the one, whatever you're going to do, I don't know how you do it. If you do an 8x10 and people buy more always, right? Is that what you experience? Sometimes I guess it depends. So be choosy about the auctions you go to. So I have a friend who has a beautiful second home, and she said she can't give that to any, it doesn't work so much at like school PTAs. It has to be at a particular kind of auction that has, a minimum ticket price where people are going to buy more. So you just set those rules for yourself of what's going to match your pricing strategy. Okay. Okay, good. Okay. So in the last part of the tonight's document, here we go. There's some questions. So you guys went through these things and you did great. I love the collaboration. I love that you talked about doing workshops. Okay, so with that, that law of motion, the force equals mass times acceleration. Bigger mass has more to risk, right? So if a big company makes a misstep, they have a lot to risk. Versus a smaller company, if something bad happens, it's easier for you to rectify it, right? There just isn't as much to risk, but there are some risks. And for some, a bad review could be really damaging to you compared to a bad review at Disneyland. That guy had a bad day, whatever, take it with a grain of salt. I know I'm going to have a good time at Disneyland, whatever that guy, his problem was. But if you only have 3 reviews and one of them's bad, I don't know that person. So we need to be very careful, right? So things to think about are, what are your risks? And sort of have in the back of your mind how you'll handle those things. I don't think for the level that any of us are, we don't need a major crisis communication plan, but you need to have some idea of how, think of what could happen and then how would you handle it? And we'll talk more about that next week too, with the 3rd law, which is for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Okay, but just keep that in mind. So you're small and you're nimble. You can, make decisions quickly because you don't have a boss. Isn't that great? But you still might run the risk. Oh my, what's happening? Okay. The mouse has a mind of its own. Okay. And then how do you want to be recognized? Okay, so I've had clients that are highly regulated, and they've said, oh, this is how it should happen, and they're not doing it this way, and this is how the legislation should go, and I'm like, oh, let's position you that way. You can be the leader for your industry. And they're like, no, I don't want to do that. Because then I'm bringing the spotlight on me, and then all of these regulatory bodies are going to be looking at me and trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong. So I don't want to bring that onto me. But then their peers said, yeah, darn straight, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lead the charge and make sure that we are fairly treated. So there's different ways to position yourself within your area. So for some people, they want to be the best. They want to be known as the best. And the easiest way to say you're the best is to win awards. So you apply for awards and you're applying for awards. Maybe you're inventing awards so you can apply for it and get it. You're finding out ways that you can be recognized so you're positioned as the best in the field. If you have originated a product, if you want to be known as the first, the only, the best, the first to do it, if you've started a new process, like Liz, if you invented waterscaping, you want to be known for that. How cool is that? So you would put your promotion more towards that. Are you a convener? So Liz, you touched on this, like bringing people into your shop and doing these workshops. So you become a convener of people who are like you. They're sort of into art. They're sort of into craftsy stuff. They want to learn a special technique or how to do things. And so then people look to you to bring them together. What else can we do here? And so that's a way that you can be recognized and people can automatically think of you that way. And so you want to play up the promotion that way as well. Okay. And then what needs to change in your business to match your goals and objectives? So I wish Stephanie could stay on because she said that she has 2 virtual assistants. And I think the whole idea of virtual assistants is brilliant. They're not necessarily at your office or underfoot. They're doing things electronically for you, offsite, whatever. They're managing things. Maybe they're doing your social media for you. They're managing your contacts. They're arranging things, whatever. That's an easy way to add staff without adding workers' compensation and days off, and sick days, and all the other headaches that come with that. But do you need some sort of staff something? Could you get an intern somehow? Do you want to open up to a market that maybe speaks a language that you don't speak? Maybe that's what's prevalent in your community or in, where you want to be working. Do you need to hire a staff person who speaks that language? Do you need to create departments for things? So sometimes our pricing strategy ends up being bifurcated. So we have a premium and then we have a low level. And so how do we create a system that separates those without offending anybody? And hopefully it doesn't mean you have to come up with a whole second website, etc. But that's what a lot of companies do. If you look at food companies, a lot of times they have all sorts of different kinds of things, different brands. They may have a particular beverage that's bottled a certain way for a less expensive place and bottled a different way for a more expensive place. And they don't talk about that. It's just, that's how they do it. So it's marketed differently. Do you need to contract out? Are there some things that you can do? And I think it was last class or the class before I said, even, because your personal life gets muddy with your business life because you're just one person. If you need to contract out the things that happen at home to make your business life easier, do that. And then does your supply chain need to change? And I told you about my blankie keeper business and how, and a couple things on that, because I thought about this later. So even if I had seen the Damon John video back then that said, prove your concept, like he did for FUBU, I might have found out then if I was selling him for $10 and just going to craft fairs and selling him cheap and getting him out there, I might still have found out that people didn't want the product. But I would have known sooner without having really spun my wheels with so many different promotional issues. The promotion wasn't the issue, it was the product, right? So that's something to keep. Proving the concept wouldn't have saved that. So just so I know. But one of the things at one of those craft fairs, I'd met this woman and she made bucket hats, and she said she didn't make any money till she took it overseas. So she took it to China because they could make it dirt cheap, because labor in California is super expensive. So when she could take it there, then she started making some money. She goes, and now caveat, because I know that sometimes we're trying things on the side to get going. She said she also didn't make money till she made it her full-time thing. And she had the pressure of it has to work because you have to pay this amount of money on the bills this month. And Damon John, again, he wrote a book, I think it came out this year. It's called The Power of Broke. And so it's one of those issues where, you're broke, you got to hustle. Now, don't be foolish. I know many people who quit working because they were going to write a novel because they got an A on a creative writing essay. Don't do that. Don't be reckless. Just know that at some point you're teeter-totter. You got to get on your own business side the right time. Okay. So tonight, was there, in all of the stuff that we're talking about, and you guys did great, came up with great things. Was there anything that was difficult to answer or to tackle?
I think for me was like, I would like to get increased sales, but figuring out the percentage and how much. So I need to go and look at the numbers. Like, yes. I'm not a numbers person, but I need to, I think that's why I procrastinate on it. And it's time to stop procrastinating and really know where I'm at.
Yes, there's some smart woman told me, just, you don't want to do something, go 3, 2, 1, go, just do it. Quit thinking about it, just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and it won't be as hard as you think. We put it off and then it grows in our mind like, oh, that thing over there I have to do and I don't want to. And it probably won't take you very long.
Yeah.
Do you have a friend or a significant other who can help you?
Yeah.
Okay. Do that too. There's comfort. Even if they go, huh, I don't know. Then sometimes that's all you need is you have confidence. You're like, oh, well, I know.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to talk it out. So
Right?
even if to somebody that doesn't know, but just talking it out really works.
Yes. Very good. Very good. Yes. Don't let the numbers scare you. And I guarantee you, once you start writing, these are my sales goals, you'll start hitting those much easier.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't know why. Writing it down, being clear about it, the universe responds. It helps you. It's a big difference. Yes. When I started my business, I was just like, I don't know. I'll see how much money I can make. It was dumb. And I did see how much money I can make. And then I was like, oh, I can make more. Okay. But it wasn't until much later that I went, okay, this is how much I need to make. And these are the ways I want to make it. This is something I really like doing. And I think I can make this much. And this is something that's okay, but I know it's really marketable and I'm good at it. So we'll still do that for now until, it's sort of that becomes your departments become your side hustle almost. You have your favorites, right?
Mhm.
And that makes a big difference. And then I can monitor. And sometimes I'm surprised, like, really, I didn't think I'd have that many more PR clients this year. I thought I'd do more facilitation. Look at that. So, but you've got to monitor it. Just do an Excel spreadsheet. You don't have to buy anything fancy. You could do a word table if that's how you think, just so you have it on something, something visual for you to look at and fill in. Yes. Very good. Okay. Do you guys have any questions? We'll flesh out your objectives. So if you had anything like we had for the shoe store, if we had just gonna sell online, that wasn't a complete objective yet, right? So if you have anything like that, flesh those out some more. Think of some other goals. Really make sure that your objectives are objectives and not tactics, and make sure your tactics are not objectives. Okay. Okay. Very good. Okay. Well, I have another 30 minutes this week. Here are your two names. Okay, here we go.
Woohoo.
Liz.
All right, Liz.
Okay, Cielo, you're just going to win next week. That's all I
Okay.
have to say.
Good.
Very good. Okay, so we don't have office hours this Thursday, so it's
Right.
Veterans Day.
Yeah.
And so we'll have the class next week. And we're leaving it open. So if people want to join and they want to get caught up and watch the videos, they can totally do that. And so we'll be doing the last law of motion. So for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And then we'll also talk about evaluation. Okay. And Cielo, did you get your book yet?
I did. Yes,
Oh,
I
good.
just got it.
Okay, good. So read through it.
Yeah.
It'll take you an hour.
Awesome.
Okay. And then Liz, do I